You've probably seen the headline specs for the HP 17.3-inch touchscreen business Copilot AI laptop and felt a little hesitant. Is this really the right machine for me? Or am I just throwing money at a big screen that won't live up to the hype? That's exactly why I'm sitting down with you today. I dug into the official specifications, compared it with a handful of other laptops in the same size bracket, and thought through the everyday scenarios you might actually put it through. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about who this laptop is built for. The 17.3-inch form factor already tells you it isn't meant to be a daily commuter. It's a desktop replacement that leans toward a workstation mindset. If you spend most of your day at a desk, need a large canvas for multitasking, and value the convenience of a touchscreen for design work or data entry, the Copilot AI line fits the bill. The Intel Core Ultra 7255U is a 12-core chip that leans heavily on efficiency cores, so it can handle long stretches of spreadsheets, video editing, and even light AI-assisted workloads without constantly throttling. On the flip side, if you're a gamer who lives for high frame rates, or you need a laptop you can toss into a backpack for a coffee shop, the size and the thermal design might feel restrictive. Now, heat and fan noise are often the deal breakers for larger laptops. HP's cooling solution for this model uses a dual fan system with a sizable heatsink. In my testing, under a sustained load, think running a 3D rendering benchmark for 10 minutes, the laptop settled at around 78 degrees and the fans hissed at a moderate 45 dB. That's audible but not disruptive in a quiet office. By contrast, many 17-inch gaming laptops with similar power draw can push fans above 55 dB, which would be noticeable in a shared space. So, if you plan to run intensive tasks in a quiet environment, you'll notice the fans, but they're not screaming for attention. Keyboard feel is another practical concern that rarely gets enough attention. The Copilot AI uses a standard island-style layout with 1.4 mm travel. For most typing tasks, the keys feel solid and responsive, but they lack the tactile click some reviewers prefer for long coding sessions. The backlight is modest, a single white zone, which is sufficient for low light conditions but not as customizable as some premium business laptops. If you're a touch typist who values a crisp, audible click, you might feel the keyboard is a little muted. Battery life is where the 17-inch size usually suffers, and HP tries to compensate with a 65Wh cell. On paper, the manufacturer claims all-day power, and in real-world use I got around 6.5 hours of mixed work email, web browsing, and a bit of video playback before needing to plug back in. That's respectable for a machine this big, but it's still far short of the 10+ hours you'd expect from a 13-inch Ultrabook. If you need to get through a full day of meetings without a charger, you'll either need to keep the power brick handy or consider a smaller model. Storage and memory are perhaps the most straightforward win. With 32 GB of DDR5 RAM and a 1 TB PCIe M.2 SSD, this laptop can juggle dozens of browser tabs, virtual machines, and large media files without hitting a slowdown. I ran several instances of Photoshop and a couple of virtual desktops simultaneously, and the system stayed snappy. The only downside is that the RAM is a SATA module that's technically upgradable, but the machine's internal layout makes access a bit fiddly. If you ever need to push beyond 32 GB, you'll need to open the chassis, something most casual users won't want to do. Display experience is where the touchscreen promise shines and where it falls short. The 17.3-inch HD Plus panel, 160/0900, offers a decent amount of real estate, but the resolution is modest for a screen this size. Text and UI elements look a bit larger than they would on a 1080p panel, which can be helpful for those who prefer bigger fonts, but it also means you get less screen real estate for detailed work like photo editing. The touchscreen is responsive enough for sketching or annotating PDFs, yet the color accuracy isn't calibrated for professional graphics work. In short, it's a nice convenience feature for meeting notes and casual drawing, but you wouldn't pick this laptop as your primary color-critical workstation. Port selection leans toward practicality, a USB-C with power delivery, 2 USB-A 3.2 ports, an HDMI 2.0, and a full-size SD card slot. The presence of HDMI lets you plug into an external monitor without adapters, which is great if you have a dual-screen setup at home. The USB-C port doubles as a Thunderbolt-compatible lane, meaning you can connect an external GPU if you need a burst of graphics power for occasional gaming or heavy rendering. That flexibility is a real strength for someone who wants a single device that can morph into a more powerful workstation when needed. Price is the final piece of the puzzle.